have to conduct the administrative processes of swearing you in. Do any of you have any objections to taking the oath this morning? Then in that case, will you kindly stand? Please individually read your full names, surnames, the institutions that you represent, as well as the positions that you occupy to the record. Phone available?
I got some light there. Okay, can I go ahead? Yeah. I'm Mark Anderson, I'm the Managing Director of a non-profit company called the Amatola Mountain Escape Tourism Association. I reside in the Amatola mountain area on a farm just north of Hogsback. Is that all you need?
Yes, that's all. Yeah. Thank you. Please remain standing. Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. My name is Ian Weir, and I'm a resident of the village of Hogsback, and I am involved in the Hogsback Roads Repair Group. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Having indicated no objections to taking the oath, do you both swear that the evidence you shall give this morning will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, kindly raise your right hands and individually state, "So help me God."
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much. You are duly sworn in. You may be seated. Mr. Anderson and Mr. Weir, you come from what is arguably the most beautiful part of the Eastern Cape. Hogsback is absolutely beautiful. Welcome. We appreciate your presence here. And you will then have about 30 minutes to offer us your presentation, and thereafter the panel will engage with you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I was hoping to share some pictures of that beauty with you. You've got it, okay. So, just to repeat, the Amatola Mountain Escape Tourism non-profit company is an association set up to develop tourism, rural tourism in the Amatola area. And as you'll see in my presentation, our area covers a far larger area than Hogsback. It stretches from Fort Beaufort or in the west to Stutterham in the east, and Conker in the south to Cathcart in the north. Cutting through the middle of this is the R345 route, and initially as it is, it's one of the busiest roads from a tourism perspective and from a timber perspective, timber extraction perspective, and from an agricultural perspective, because that's the route our livestock and our milk and everything goes out. And I'd like to show you a picture of a video of the milk truck. But I am here with a tourism hat on, so I'm not going to expand into the other problems we've had. So it's also the main road that runs right through the tourist village of Hogsback. So this must in no way be construed in a way that suggests that the network of dirt roads that connect all the villages and historical tourist attractions of the area do not require urgent attention as well. So prior to the turn of the century, Hogsback didn't, this is, when I hear turn of the century, I think 100 years ago, but we've just turned another century. So prior to 2000, Hogsback did an estimated 10 to 12,000 bed nights per annum in the formal hospitality industry. With the tarring of the Hogsback Pass around 2010, and this is only the top section of the pass, the bottom section was tarred from back in the days of the Sahrc. But it grew rapidly, the bed nights grew rapidly from around 15,000 to peak an estimated 50,000 bed nights per annum. Now, it's an accepted norm that the average tourist in South Africa currently spends about 2,000 Rand a day on tourist products. So that's dinner, bed, breakfast, events, crafts, etc. The Eastern Cape, unfortunately, is a cheaper tourist destination, with the latest stats showing that tourists only spend about 1750 per day in the region. But this still puts the tourism turnover of Hogsback and immediate surrounds at an estimated 87.5 million Rand a year. From there. Okay, great. Okay, so what do we need desperately in this country? We need employment. And the tourism industry, as many service industries, the hospitality sector is heavily dependent on labor and spends 30 to 33% of its turnover on employment. This means that that little hamlet of Hogsback is putting some estimated 26 to 28 million into salaries and wages into the area. Now, I just want to pause a bit here to tell you a little bit more about my involvement in the tourism industry. I took early retirement in my 40s. I ran a national company. I came back home. I went to the hotel, got drunk one night and bought it. And that got me into the tourism business. But I also sit as the chair of a provincial tourism organization, ICTOUR, funded by Sun International. So we've got very good links. And these figures I'm giving you are well researched, well benchmarked. So I know in depth, to the cent, within my own business, how much we spend on labor and how various things affect us. So if you take a look at that 26 to 28 million Rand in salaries, the forestry industry puts about 6.5 million Rand in. Everyone thinks, oh, forestry is the big income generator. It's not. Now we take a look, that's about 11.5 million into the VAT coffers, let alone our income tax, our PAYE and that sort of thing. So really, from a socio-economic point of view, the amount of people involved in tourism in a whatever way, whether it's full-time formal tourism, whether it is an Airbnb bed in a house, whether it's as a tour guide, whether it's a guy who cuts a stick, whether it's somebody who makes the beds, it's what brings money into our area. If you put that into perspective, we see ourselves as a kind of a mother hen and chickens, because our attractions, yes, Hogsback's beautiful, but do you know how many attractions there are around Hogsback? For example, in the Khabe Kingdom, there are more forts than the rest of South Africa put together. 90% are inaccessible because of the roads. There is more diversity in the culture and the history of the people of the area than anywhere else in this country that we've had. We cannot get around and take meaningful numbers of tourists to that. You'll have a look, I'll get back to it a little bit later here. Our problem now, right now, as we speak, over the last 2 fortnights, our demand for beds is shrinking at about 7% per fortnight. We're down about 30% this financial year because of 2 factors. Conflict with forestry and the big trucks and the roads. And if I could show you the video of what it's like driving down the Hogsback Road behind a logging truck, pushing up dust, and they take the whole road. You can't overtake. The roads aren't wide enough. And people just don't want to come there. So instead of growing our numbers and our income, we've declined that 30%. I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about the R345 access to Hogsback. So access to Hogsback and R345 from the north is by 4x4 vehicle only during wet weather. You can't take a normal car on that road. We as farmers, and I live on my farm just outside of Hogsback, I have to have a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get to work in bad weather. The tarred section of the Hogsback Pass which is currently receiving some attention by filling in potholes, is pretty dubious. Access to Hobbiton on the DR 7300 is not possible in wet weather. Their cars and their little minibuses and the buses can't get up the road onto the R345 in wet weather. They slip and slide away. We have to tow them up. And that's right next to my hotel. And then they know I've got a 4x4. So I know if it rains, I put a tow strap on the vehicle and we spend half our life pulling people around. The road to Seymour via Mitchell's Pass can only be used by well-equipped 4x4 enthusiasts and adventure bike riders. The Amatola Forestry Company logging trucks no longer use the DR7300 with their interlink trucks because of the condition of the road. So they're now using the R345 going down the pass, and that's contributing to the really rapid deterioration of the tarred section. It also intimidates the average driver and is speeding up the deterioration of the road, as I mentioned now. And it causes a lot of dust, and it's a hazard to visitors who are unfamiliar with the twists and turns of the pass and the oncoming trucks. And then I've got a host of pictures. Do you have to click down the presentation as well? Okay. Okay. Okay, so I've asked Ian to come with me here because this is, Ian is the guy who's driven this project where the community puts funds into a little account and pays local chaps to come and just fill the potholes. So the first picture you see there is opening up the drains on the side, trying to extract as much gravel as you can and putting it into the road. It's very difficult to show in pictures, but a small suburban car can't get up there. The next picture is similar place. That's actually quite a steep hill, and you can see the road is deteriorated to such a low level that the gutters on the side are higher than the road. So now the water streams down the centre of the road. There is no gravel left. That's the third picture. Just shows a bit more as to how big the donga gets. And if it wasn't for Ian and his team and our community contributions, that would be impossible. The next picture is just showing another cross drain. They occur all over the roads. These little, after every storm, you can see there's pitiful amount of gravel. There's nothing in that photograph. And then these cross drains cut through. This sorry. I think I'm so used to shouting that when I go talk quietly, I get hoarse. Yeah. So if you're on this picture over here, you can clearly see that the side drain has moved into the road. The next picture, the average kind of car that would like to come to Hogsback, and what you're looking at there is bedrock. There is no road. You're right down to bedrock there. The next picture shows that the road is deteriorated to below the level of the top of the cross drains. So hence they're broken. So there's the side drainage, or to get the water from the high side to low side no longer happens. So I think it'll give you some sort of idea as to the state of the roads there. And as I said earlier, that's just a snapshot of the main road. The side roads are worse or non-existent in many places. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson, for your presentation. As I indicated, I'll now give the opportunity to the panel to engage, starting with Dr. Kata and thereafter, Dr. Fobosi. Dr. Kata.
Thank you very much. 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 Thank you Thank you so much, sir. I think my first question is you've given us now an overview of what the effect is, but what do you do? What do you do as a community, as a business owner, when you, for instance, do you cancel bookings when there's too much rain? Do you go and assist a car that is stuck? I want to know the lived experience on the ground. Now, we're looking at December, Jan, Feb, where we know the flooding risks, etc. as well. What do you do?
I think the first thing we did is we had to take a look at giving people the correct information. So, for example, when as part of the district tourism organisation, I used to get taken to Indaba and go and talk to the tour bus companies. We got people like Nomads Tours with their 4x4 buses to come because the normal tour buses will not do dirt. And they are, as far as I know right now, the only tour bus that comes to Hogsback is a Nomads bus, and infrequently. The other thing is you've got to market yourself as a 4x4 destination. So I went and I engaged the Cape Town 4x4 Club and get the word out. And lately I've been getting onto adventure bike riding. Fairly seriously, I bought one. I'm supposed to have last week done an adventure tour bike guiding course. I could be an official guide. But what can you do? We can't get people in their low-profile tire cars, their Mercedes-Benzes, their BMWs to come up there. We're battling to get them in the minibuses to get to see the roads. And that's at the developed section. What do we do about the Carter village and how they get there? How do we link between them? That's not possible until roads get done. So the community who lives there, not everyone's involved with tourism. We've got lecturers from Fort Hare, support staff from Fort Hare. They've got to get to work. They contribute a lot of money to get Ian and his team to come and fill in those potholes. From the farming side, we spent 270,000 Rand in March this year as farmers on private graders and our own equipment, fixing the road behind Hogsback so the milk truck can get in. The effect of all of this is that you will pay more for your produce. It's going to affect everyone who drinks milk, who eats meat, who wears a woolen jersey, because I was explaining to Ian the other day, I had to move 60 pregnant cows from my farm in the drought. The cattle trucks refused to come to my farm. I had to trek them for 2 days till I can get them to an acceptable area for the truck would meet them to load them to take them to a farm in Adelaide that had grazing for them. So you make a plan, but is it growing the economy? Is it providing more jobs? No.
Maybe I can just add a little bit. The guest house managers contact the guests who booked and cautions them to say, okay, when you're coming to Hogsback, if you're coming up the pass, just bear in mind there are a whole range of compromised sections that are under repair, so you go slowly. And in the village itself, whatever you're driving, just go slowly. If you're coming from the Cathcart side, if it's raining, don't go Cathcart on the gravel road to Hogsback, rather go to Seymour, Fort Beaufort, Alice, and then come that way. That adds another sort of 80 kilometers to your trip. But, you'll get there with a vehicle that still operates. And then in the village itself, there's, apart from what Mark does to help vehicles get up the slope, there's a rescue vehicle now that'll go out and help people whose wheels have burst or their shock absorbers have collapsed on the roads. So there's the remedial measures in place, but they turn the whole tourist experience into an adventure, if you like. And then local people who travel the road every day are, they're pulling their hair out. And hence the initiative to repair the worst of the bad roads, so that at least people can still move on vehicles. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, just two follow-up questions to that. You've made mention that the tourist sector or the surrounding farms is a big employment creator. So how do the local communities and the employees reach their places of work? That's my number one. I mean, it's one thing to speak about the tourists, but how do the employees make use of the roads or reach these areas of employment? That's number one. And the last question perhaps is to ask, what has your engagements with the local municipality, district municipality, and Department of Transport? What has that looked like, and what has been their responses?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about my engagement, and then I'll let Ian tell you about his engagements. So employees coming to work is a twofold thing. The people who live in Hogsback, there are private taxis or bakkie operators or car operators, and my staff have e-contract to get to work. So, and it's not far distances. But for the nighttime staff, we spent a lot of money building on-site accommodation, because there's just no one was prepared to do any transport at night. So if you want to come and have dinner there, and the staff only finish at 10 or 10:30, we've given them overnight accommodation. So it's not a residential place. It's that they can stay over that night. But it comes at a cost. As far as engaging with people, Round Mhlaba municipality, unfortunately, is a no-starter. Nothing happens at actual local level. The former district roads engineer, Bulelesi Mnish, made 3 appointments, and on the third one, when he wasn't there to discuss the roads, I pulled some chairs in his waiting room and lay on them, and the secretary said, "What am I doing?" I said, "I'm now moving in, I'm sleeping here until we get to talk." The phone went, and she phoned somebody, and he came in 15 minutes later. And he acknowledged that we had a problem. And I walked out with a 2 million rand budget to send a grader to Hogsback. And this is prior to COVID. We ended up spending 13 million rand on the roads, and that's the last proper attention those roads had. They were reshaped. And then a further 500,000 rand to appointing engineers to build a proper road at Hogsback. And that's a document I've sent you guys. So this was done some time ago. It was done. It's a plan ready to go to tender. There just doesn't seem to be a political will, or this football has been kicked from the department to department to actually take it seriously. I've taken it right through. I've given it to Mvoko. I've given it to the Premier. Further than that, I don't know. The only high authority I can go to is God, and we pray about it frequently. So.
Thanks, Chair. I've been working with a team in Hogsback, doing the same thing over and over again for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years. So I've got a practical feed in for you. And the work we've been doing as a team, is to raise local funds from whoever's willing to contribute. Usually it's related to people who use the roads. But as a result of this experience, I've realized that from the point of view of how people get to work, where a person lives in Hogsback, they'll walk to work if they don't have a vehicle, or they'll catch public transport, a taxi or what have you. And the local team who live in Hogsback they walk to work. And what we've experienced is that because of the state of the gravel road through the portion of Hogsback up to the top of Hogsback, where you take the road to Cathcart, or you take a real adventure down to Seymour and get your adrenaline levels up because of the horrendous condition of that road, you walk on the sidewalk. And unfortunately, because of the poor quality of the road, the gravel road, that's where the vehicles are starting to go now, to avoid the potholes. And so there's a big hazard for pedestrians on the one hand, and we've got to sort that out. We've tried to put speed bumps up to slow down the vehicles, but it's very difficult to create obstructions where the pedestrians walk, and that's where the vehicles are going now. So it's become very hazardous, particularly in the central part of Hogsback now, where the kids who come out of school or people going to work have to dodge the vehicles because they're avoiding the potholes. So that's something we've got to sort out, and we can't do it as a pothole repair group. So that's just one point related to how you get to work, and stay alive. The other experience I've had is because I come out of the public service, I understand some of the challenges that the departments sit with when they are transferring functions. And what happened in the Department of Public Works and Roads is that the roads function was transferred to transport. I'm talking about provincial government now, because that's my experience. I spent 5 years in provincial government. And in that transfer process, you're supposed to ensure that personnel and budget go with the transfer. And that takes a long time to achieve, because you've got to move your personnel to a new place, and you've got to ensure the function goes across properly and the money goes across properly. But in my 4 years interaction with the provincial department that has the function of looking after roads, your key person in the province is your district roads engineer, because they're for the district. And the district we're talking about is the Amatola district. Okay, and in that experience, after Son Klish, who was the district roads engineer, retired, there were a series of actors. And as you know, in the acting world, not very much happens, because as an actor, you're not guaranteed the position, so you perhaps not as institutionally effective to get things done. So, I've been banging around with actors a lot, and trying to get the district roads engineer and the technical people to come up and have a look at the roads and make a final solution to what's really a crazy situation. Because, over the years, when we've got some delivery from the provincial department, it's always been like a patch job. Because whatever road you have to build it to technical specifications that deal with the traffic that travels on it. Now, these roads, particularly the gravel roads, apart from the tar roads, the R345, because that's a provincial road, and that goes through the village, you have to be able to build or repair the road so it can cope with the big trucks. And we're talking about 50, 60-ton trucks moving on these roads. And over the years, we've just been patching. And I've also been interacting with the contractors who, from time to time, come in to do a repair and maintenance task. And they just tell me straight, we're just doing a patch here, because give a rainy season, and given the slopes of your roads, this is going to come back at you in 10 minutes. So we've got the contract, we'll do the work, but it's ridiculous. We should just do a proper job and get it done so it serves the traffic that's on the road. So apart from sedans and 4x4s, we're dealing with the big logging trucks. So we're talking about 40, 60 ton trucks. We're talking about the milk trucks, which come through because they're from the dairies and they come down. We're talking about the trucks that come to the local supermarket. You know, we've got a local Spar, and that's like also, I don't know, 40-ton truck. Those vehicles come through regularly. And when in the logging business, when your trees are ready to be harvested, your compartments, we're talking about pine trees now, they get harvested, and then for 24 hours a day for 2 months, these trucks move with the harvested timber to go to the mills to be, made into building material or what have you. So that, apart from the noise pollution and the dust and the impact it has on the residents and people traveling and the pedestrians, because these trucks don't go slowly, it just hammers the road when it's raining. As soon as it rains, and as a pothole person, I'm not an engineer, but what I've learned is that, once you've filled the potholes in a bad section and it rains, and you have a drainage problem, and you have these big trucks, all the work you did on the potholes gone, because those big trucks go over there, and all the rubble you put into the pothole comes out again. So it's an endless situation. I've also interacted with the local municipality, who are responsible for the internal roads. So you've got the provincial roads, and then you've got, in the village itself, you've got all your internal roads. Now, those were last maintained, I think, 10 years ago. If I remember, I've been in Hogsback for 30 years, and I can't remember anything within the last 10 years at all. And that's the Raymond and Mhlaba municipality. Now, we know the municipalities have huge problems because of because they don't have a big raid space, let me put it that way. But over and above that, they've also got an enormous area to deal with. So, and also, within the municipality itself, we just can't get traction easily to get attention to the roads, whether it's in the Hala, the local village down the road, or whether it's in Hogsback itself. The municipality is just not. It's almost like they've been buried. They're in the cemetery. You've got to dig them out because they're gone. And within our local discussions, you've got to keep a sense of humor. That's true. So the sense of humor is reflected in this little saying that's been developed, is that in some countries you drive on the left. In other countries you drive on the right-hand side of the road. In our country you drive on what's left of the road. You know what I mean? I mean, you've got to have a sense of humor because it's crazy what's going on. I think that's probably the best I can do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weah, Mr. Anderson. Dr. Carter? Dr. Fobosi?
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Mayor, for the presentation. That's well detailed and that has the visuals, which is good for us to see. And I think you've presented interesting, facts on what is happening there. But I would like to request you to please share with the Commission, how long, the bed roads have been the case. How long has that situation continued? And also, you mentioned that the potholes are being filled instead of repairing the whole road. Like, who's doing that in practice? Who's actually doing the filling? Right? And also linked to that, you also mentioned that there's a decline in the number of visitor inquiries. So, and I would like to know if if you think that is associated with the bad roads. Is it because of the bad road that that now we have the decline in the number of visitor inquiries? Lastly, if you can please share with the Commission, just tell us the context of access to schools, access to healthcare in the area. How does it look like given the current condition? Thank you.
Thanks. As I said earlier on, I wrote my complaint to the Commission with a tourism hat on. But it obviously affects medical response, it affects mountain rescue, it affects police and security response. Right now my phone's going ping ping because the local security company has under-budgeted on their response vehicle for the condition of the roads. They need to have a bigger 4x4 vehicle, and they want to put our rates up and actually want to leave the area, stop running a service. I don't know when I last saw an ambulance getting around. So there are those many aspects to it. I've actually got some written complaints about the roads. They go back to about 2016. 2018 is what I put into. I couldn't put it into the presentation. I was going to put it on the side so you could read them as well. It really raised its head a few years before COVID, in my mind, as the worst. And it must, we did have that big reshaping of the road. It must have been about, was it in 2018, 2019, 2020 is when the shutdown. It was about 2 years before. So yeah, it sort of builds up, you get it fixed, and then it deteriorates. But the problem is it's deteriorating to a lower level every time. So yeah, that's hence this. We need this capital injection to get a road done. What I didn't mention is that in about 2010, when the pass was tarred, the pass was tarred to the old Sahrc boundary many years ago, and that's what started Hogsback, made it more accessible, and tourism started to become something. Then in 2010, it was tarred from that halfway point up to the village. And the contractors, it was done as a variation order on the tarring of the road between Middelburg and Alice. They said, look, this is a no-brainer. It should be tarred to the top of the pass. Remember, Hogsback has about 1.4 meters of rainfall a year. Once you go over the hill, it drops quite significantly. So it's that wet area that needed to be done. They didn't have enough money to do the job properly. So they said, what do they want? All of it done a further distance, half quality, or shorter distance, proper quality. So I was chairman of the Chamber of Business at the time, and I said, let's do a short bit properly. And then a little bit got done half properly because they were promised a budget for the next year to finish the whole thing. So it was a chip and spray in the center of the village. Do you know that last year they ripped up that chip and spray? So 10 years later, they pulled it all out. They started to fix it in about 2011, and they carted about 9 million rands worth of gravel up as a sub-base, and then the contract got stopped because the department lost a court case against Rumdale Construction for the road in the Transkei from Ugie down, and they were ordered to pay 180 million rand. So they just cancelled a few contracts to save that money. So I mean, it just kind of goes to show that there's recognition's been given that this has to be done. It starts getting done, it doesn't get finished. So you had another, there was a last question, I think there were 3 things.
Thank you. It was around the access to schools and healthcare in the area. You did not say anything about that. Can you please share with the Commission?
Yes, sorry, I did. Well, I said security, the police, the medical rescue. It affects that terribly. There's a local chap who runs a taxi service, has a contract to the schools, and he told me the other day. I actually asked him to come with me, and he said, he's got problems. His contract's been cancelled. So I don't know what is happening there, but I can show you videos of me pulling his school bus vehicle back onto the road. It had an accident the other day. I can show you pictures of logging trucks lying on their sides. So it's a massive problem.
Right, thank you. And how many school children does this contract transport, and which grades? Do you know? And if it rains, does it mean that learners do not go to school?
So, thanks, Jay. Well, I know the school because I taught at the school. It's a primary school in Hogsback, and it's in the what can be termed as kind of the centre of Hogsback. So the children come from all different parts, either by foot and then go home by foot, and hence the comment about the sidewalks that the vehicles are going on, because that's a big hazard. And then there are some of the kids get in. It's a primary school, and some of the kids get collected, as Mark indicated, by a transporter. So it's a minibus and moves the kids to a point. Some of the children do come up from the valley, from Hala or some of the other villages, and they would come up by public transport. So that does exist. And obviously if you go to some of the parts of Hogsback where the taxi operators are, you'll see a whole lot of wrecked vehicles that have, apart from being second-hand, they've been hammered by the roads themselves. So that's an ongoing issue that will always be there. What I thought might be worth mentioning is that in my interactions with the provincial, let's call it the roads director, the engineer, what they made quite clear to me when we were discussing getting them to intervene in the roads, to stop doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, is the way to go on any of the, whether it's tar or gravel roads, is you set up a program as a responsible department, either through contractors or through your own capacity. Every quarter you do a repair and maintenance exercise. So that's every 3 months. And ideally what you do during each quarter, if you can, for gravel roads, is you make sure that after it rains, you get into the road, and where you need to, you resurface. So that gets some proper aggregate onto the road, and then you create a camber, and you make sure the drains work. So that's what the pothole. You asked the question, what are we doing? Well, the one in the really problematic areas, we open up the drains, and I'm talking about, this is like hard labor. It's just human beings with spades digging out the blockages and clearing the waste that's got into the drain, and then we scratch around for gravel or organize gravel to be dropped, and then we pick that up physically in containers, and we take it to the compromised pothole. We excavate the pothole, ideally to make it square to that depth, and then you fill the aggregate in there, and then you physically compact it, and then you put another layer on top, so when the vehicles come through, they continue to compress it, and you try and make sure that that aggregate that you're putting in there has got some soft material, so when it rains, it settles, and it's a bit like cement. And then you sort of, you're getting somewhere. But that's the exercise. It's what is a plus is that it's creating some employment opportunities and payment for youngsters who have nothing. And that's that's how in parts of Africa, that's how the roads, the networks are maintained, where families are allocated 2 kilometers, and they work on that 2 kilometers of a road, and they get paid on the basis of having done that work. So that's a plus in a way, but it's it's not enough to take us to where we should be, which is what I call, let's get a smooth ride.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. No further questions. Thank you.
No, thanks. Just finally on my side, has there been any physical injuries or even fatalities as a result, especially of the is it 345?
I'm not aware of fatalities on the road, but I can send you pictures of injuries. It was only 2 or 3 weeks ago I pulled the school taxi out the side. It skidded in the loose stuff and went right off the road a lot, and pictures of overturned logging trucks and vehicles, yeah. Okay, it's on my phone, the pictures. Okay, good, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And this 30% decline in bookings that you mentioned, do you perceive it to be as a result of solely the roads issue, or do you think there are other contributing factors, such as, for example, the pandemic, the economic climate? So I'm just trying to gather your own perception of the contributing factor of the road to the decline.
Yes. I don't want to lay it all on the roads. Do you know, the pandemic, if people had to say to me, and I'm going to talk my personal business, the best thing that happened to us was the pandemic. We had adequate insurance, so we were paid out our costs and our profits. And when the pandemic came to an end, people were so cooped up, Hogsback boomed. Last financial year, we were 62.7% above our 3-year pre-COVID average. And I corrected that average by 6% per annum for inflation, arrived at a target, and I've measured against that, 62.7% up. Because people couldn't go overseas, or it was difficult to travel, so wealthy South Africans discovered Hogsback, and it became popular. Now we're dealing with the fallout. Oh, but you should have told me. I came in my BMW. I should have come in my 4-wheel drive Land Cruiser, whatever the case is. So now it's that sort of structured tourism, the tour buses that won't come. That's big numbers. My colleagues in Tsitsikamma, it's not like, did you have a tour bus today? It's how many did you have? We don't get one. We don't get one single conventional tour bus. We get nomads on a charter. And I think since the pandemic is over, we've only had 3. So that's a significant thing. But contributing factors, yes, money's tightened up, fuel has gone up, things are tight, but I don't think that's really affected us, because instead of people going further, they look for a destination closer. So we are seeing more Port Elizabeth, Bloemfontein, East London people, less maybe of Cape Town, Johannesburg, that type of thing. And sorry, the other question you asked was, oh, the other effect, sorry, very important. We have the forestry company that leases the land there. We've actually we're having arbitration with the minister because in terms of the lease, we believe they haven't adhered to the lease and they have shut off vehicular access into the forests, and they engaged a very aggressive security company who walked around two Christmases ago with semi-automatic weapons in camo gear. That's had a big impact as well. So looking at the written, social media is a fantastic thing because TripAdvisor, Booking.com, they're really analytical. That's where I get the 30% from Booking.com. It will tell you the demand currently, or this fortnight, previous fortnight, last year, you can look at it. So it's statistically pretty accurate in that sector of the market. And TripAdvisor, people write their comments, and that's it. Your roads are shocking. Your potholes, this, that, the next thing. It's definitely had a massive impact. So it's not the only contributor, but it is, I believe, the main contributor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Ware. We've come to the end of our engagements with you this morning. Again, I reiterate our gratitude that you have taken time to represent your very beautiful community. And we feel the pain that you must feel at the role that the roads have on just the well-being of the community, economically, socially, and otherwise. So thank you very much, and I will offer you a moment or so to offer us closing remarks, if you have any, and thereafter we can end our engagements.
Thank you. Can I ask permission to take a photograph? To report back to our community that we are doing what we can do.
Yes, it is being live streamed on YouTube, so they will see you, they will see you, and they will see you interacting with us. Yes.
We didn't know it would be
Yes. Okay, no, thank you. It is being live streamed. Well, thank you very much to the both of you. You may be excused. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
We are slightly running behind schedule, but hopefully we will catch up. I am being requested for a tea break for 10 minutes, which will then be from 11 till 10 past 11. Thank you. Good morning, sir. I'm very well. How are you? Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Mabungu. Inda. Mr. Mabungu, you are welcome. I am the chairperson of this panel of this hearing into roads infrastructure in the Eastern Cape province. I'm joined on my right by the Provincial Manager of the South African Human Rights Commission in the Eastern Cape, Dr. Carter, and on my left by my fellow panelist, Dr. Fobosi. We will be engaging with yourself this morning, and prior to doing so, we must conduct the administrative processes, mainly being the administration of the oath. Do you have any reservations to taking the oath this morning? Thank you very much. In that case, then, there's a microphone on the table. I'll ask you to use it when you are speaking so that the record can also capture. Please kindly stand up. Please read your full name, surname, the institution that you represent, the position you occupy, if any, for the record, please.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Provincial Leonard Mamungu. I'm production manager for Amadero Agri, which is in partnership with the No Hardware, as well as the service.
Thank you very much. Amadero Agri.
Yes, Amadero Agri.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mabungu. Having indicated no reservations or protests to taking the oath, do you then swear that the evidence you shall give this morning will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, kindly raise your right hand and state, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mabungu. You are duly sworn in. You may be seated. Mr. Mabungu, we will offer you about 30 minutes to make your presentation. You can use less of that, but we will ask that you don't use more of it. Thereafter, the panel will engage with you based on your presentation. The time now is 11:20, and over to you.
Thank you. I should hold it like that. Oh, all right. So thank you very much. And
Testing. There we go.
yeah, do you want me to email now? They come here. Okay, let me just go up here. I'll put it on the PDF since it's a videos, and those videos can make it some complications. It's loading. Is that capital letter E or E-C-A-R-T-E? check if, can I go carry on? There we go. Now I'm happy now. That's what I was waiting for. So basically, guys, I need to just to start by explaining here, because when I was given that, I prepared for Ngoga dairy, and I was not too sure whether you're only interested on the road. But last night when I was doing some research, and I wake up middle of the night to realize that no, I've got 7 stars Kiskama Oak that I need to chip it in, but it's part of this presentation. If it's not what you're looking for, that is fine. But I thought it's important for me to share with you guys. So basically, like I said, I'm the production manager for Amadlelo. Amadlelo, they are involved in 5 dairies, Forte, Middle Rift, 7 stars in Kiskama Oak, Ngoga, and villages, and Shiloh, which is in Shiloh dairy. It's not in there. So just give you some information. And then about this presentation, I will just give you more the presentation to cover the 2 farms, not necessarily the rest other farms, 5, which is Ngoga Dairy Trust, which I'm going to talk about poor access road infrastructure, 7 stars dairy, which is the DWS, is the Department of Water and Sanitation, Irrigation, Water Infrastructure. We'll touch on that one. Then the background, historical farm, milk produce, business opportunities that are there for the community challenges and financial or business monetary value loss. Don't worry, mind by spelling, I'm not really great on that, but I do believe that you're going to enjoy this presentation, even though it does have some other stuff as well. But just to give you an overview or the background in terms of where all this started. This is an advert in 2008, which was coming from the government on the 30th of May, where they were looking to the commercial farmer or the partner who can partner with the community in terms of unlocking those agricultural land to do something else. That's where Amadelo applied and actually won. So the rest now is history. Let me just quickly now come to that. Just to give you an example, you can check here. That's the 7 stars one, Kiskama Oak. You can see that's before, when they were busy doing the bush clearing. That's the area view. Now you can see that in production. But just to give you, what are you talking about? We are in the dairy industry. Those are the dairy cows. I only give you the cow for not in the 7 stars only, just more practical. So I can take you to the farm. You can see what we're doing. Those are the cows that we are milking to produce milk. Then water is important for us. So every time I want to know how much water is in the dam because we are the pasture-based. So this year things are good. You can see that all the dams are full. And the 2019, 2020, the time that with the drought, where Kata Dam was empty, you can see water down was down to 13%. So there were some restrictions there. The farm couldn't irrigate. But since 2021, more rain, dams are full. Things are looking good in terms of the water and availability. And you must just have to know that who manage the irrigation water infrastructure is actually managed by Department of Water and Sanitation. We only manage the internal one on the farm. And then the background for those 2 farms, Ngoga Dairy and the 7 stars, focus on the picture, not necessarily much more, but I just give for somebody if you wanted to Google and check in there. So where are those farms they are? And Ngoga is in Kiskama, is in Ngoga, under Christiani district, while 7 stars is under Amahlati, on the Amatola district. So the partnership for Ngoga is between Ngoga, 10 villages, which they actually join together. They form a Ngoga Producer Assembly, secondary co-op, whereas on 7 stars, we are about 35 members that they coming from the primary co-op, join each other, secondary co-op to partner with Amadlelo. So that's actually how it actually happened. And then the farm orientation again, in terms of the farm size, that you can see, that all farms together, five of them, is about 1,527, and the cows in head, with the 5,472 with the followers. Followers, I'm talking about the calves and the heifers that are actually part of the replacement. So there are currently on a 2,697 total with 8,167 just to see. And the staff complement on the HR, 176. We do have the students that they come to the farm doing service training. And I'm proud to say that all this management team that I have on the farm, all these guys, they are people that will come as the interns. We train them on the farm, then they become the managers. I only have one guy who's a white guy who's not part of that, but I'm happy to have him on the system. Beneficiaries for 7 stars, 35 people. Ngoga is the bigger one. We're talking about 395, sorry, about 10 villages. That's the biggest one. Just to give you a bit of the background in terms of these bars that you see there, they are representing milk production. So the blue one is the milk produced. The red one is the milk sold. So we don't necessarily sell everything just because of, we've got the cows to feed and the staff, they also get some ration, where every day we give them a bit of the 2 liters of milk. Otherwise, if you don't do that, they will find a way to take for themselves. They don't know how much they take. That's actually why you see the difference. And you can see for Ngoga, 2020 that did very well up to 10 million. Now the question, why were we dipping? And that's something that we're going to talk about. 7 stars, you can see in 2016, it was on 10 million. It was one of the biggest farm. But from then, something went horrible, 2020, 2019, 2020 there. You can see that now the farm, it haven't recovered. So why? That's something else that you're going to talk about now. So the cow's milk that time was over 2,190.21. Now we are sitting on 1,100, just 50% of the potential farm that you can carry. So where all that milk goes, we have 2 milk buyers. Local guy buyers is a SMME. This guy, they do buy the milk and they go to sell to the public. And then in Ngoga, I've got guys that coming to buy on 5 liters. And then, and then 7 stars, I don't do that. I used to do it, and then we stop because I encourage the SMME to come to buy milk and go to sell, not necessarily that we can sell the milk and then find the local guys to come to buy to us. So we have to create the space for the SMME, the local one, to sell the milk. So that's what we've done. But in Ngoga, I realized that most of the SMME that are buying bulk, they are actually coming from the far distance. So this is the amount of the milk that was sold. 7 stars, they buy a lot. 50% go to Sunningdale and 50% bought locally. And in Ngoga, about 8 million to the main buyer, and about only 752,285 accounted that locally. That's where they locally are utilizing. These cows, for them to produce all that milk, they must eat the grass, they must eat the grain, the dairy milk, which is called concentrates. And then Ngoga, and one of the farm, we actually make deliberately sure we've got the resources where we can buy a grain maize, and then we prepare for ourselves so that local people can be able to, we can buy the maize locally. But what really frustrates me the most is that if you can look on the quantity on the Ngoga, on the concentrate, we use over 2,236 tons a year of maize. That maize coming from far, very little coming from locally. So I wanted to encourage more local people to produce milk, maize, so that they can also sell to us. That's what we need. But all in all, then the next one here is much more on the monetary value. Then you can see that maize that I'm referring to, over the period is about 29 million. That's in terms of buying that 2,236 tons of maize. So that money, if was spent locally, it would be great. On the roughage, I'm talking about buying lucerne and the hay, it's about 9 million. So it's a lot of money that if you spend locally, definitely there's a lot more value that can be realized and within the community and in terms of the. So this actually is another opportunity that I'm talking about, the roughage that we've done, where there's Anyokwe, which is the community that have irrigation. So as 7 stars used to give them, I was actually still a farm manager at that time, and I'm proud about that, where I used to give all the inputs to the farmers, maize, the seed, the fertilizer, they do everything, they grow the maize and end up buying that maize back as a roughage for maize silage. It worked very well, but the business now is something else. So this is just more the local impact. If everything doesn't really work, and in Miami, within Shiloh, with about 10 buyers on the milk and 52 in 7 Stars, 18, and the 30. Actually, all in all, it's about 80. So 7 Stars, they also, besides the dairy, they have a factory on that farm. We used to make a cheese there. This is the milk that we used to do the processing. But the factory there standing now is doing nothing. It stopped just because of the challenges. So those are the beneficiaries that you see there. They were very much happy. So, yeah, why? Now that's the point where we wanted to hear. In terms of Ngoka, poor access to road infrastructure challenges, geographical area, perfect for the dairy in terms of the water is there, the land is there. I mean, that dam is actually the biggest. I mean, about 181 cubic meters of water is a lot. The farm with a license for 21,900 water allocation, potential 2,800 hectares there, but currently we're only using 687. Basically, the room to grow there, the opportunity, it is huge. So the access road, that's the problem. That's the picture that you can see in there with the TLB. We're trying to work in there. So there is no proper and maintained road from R61 for about 19 to 20 kilometers. I actually measure. It's about 19 to Dairy 1, about 20 km to Dairy 2. It is, it is worse during the rain season. And this it has had a grave impact to both socially, livelihood, and the business. And then you're going to see those the video on the next slide. And the livelihood, you find that there's a limited access to go to work, students, learners to school, quality, university facilities, and etc. I remember when it was somebody who was sick on the staff member, we couldn't even able to take here to hospital in Queenstown. And then the business chain of production gets disrupted due to the inconsistent supply of production inputs and the products to the market. That's what actually, challenge that we are having. So how this road look like? Because there's no way I will be able to explain to you and you understand. That's the reason I came with the pictures in here. And then, Ngoka road infrastructure challenges. To get the trucks to go and deliver, especially during the rain, becomes the problem. And most of the truck owners, they don't want. We were very few that agree to do that, and they can't even supply what we need in time because they are not only committed to us. That's become a challenge, especially when during the rain, the truck gets stuck and we have to pull them by the tractors. And then in terms of the residents, they go to the time that we have to pray when they are saying that if this truck gets stuck here, we're going to ban them. Because they do believe that they actually, and you can see, because when they get stuck, nobody passes. And they believe that they're damaging the road, and then, which is a big challenge. And this is something that I prepared for you, the video. This is real. It's not something that's the truck that we are pulling with a tractor. Then they couldn't manage. Then, because of managing, I have to go to hire the excavator. The excavator, it cost me 20,000 rand to come to pull this truck, just only for 1 hour to do that. So that's what you can see in there. So that's actually what's happening there. Because this tractor, the grader failed. And this time, yes, I think we had Premier Oscar Mawuyane coming to visit, and I think this road was prepared just for him at that time, because after that, nothing happened. That's why you see the grader in there. And then this is the taxi stop, and then unfortunately, he came at the right time when I've got it. I was busy pulling this truck by the tractor. And then now you can see, in terms of even yourself, even myself, I wouldn't put my investment in my truck under this kind of predicament that's actually happening there. It definitely is insane what's actually happening there. And then in terms of those trucks, when I work it out, we do have about 526 trucks a year coming in there. I'm talking about only the one that delivering the diesel, the one that are bringing the maize, the one that are bringing coming to fetch the milk. And I'm talking about one way, because remember they have to go and back. And there is still a lot more other stuff that actually come in there. Just get something that I will be able to be responsible in terms of quantify those numbers. I'm not talking about even our own buggies to go in and out. So that's a lot. The buggies, the guys that are coming to buy a milk is about 1,505 when I was checking in a year. That's usually what's happened. And even on the monetary value loss, on the average, it's about 17 million that we're actually losing. And the process, why? Because the food, when they don't arrive in time, the production drop. The cows get stressed. And when the cows get stressed, when you go to breed them, they don't conceive. We are losing almost about 8% of the conception rate just because of that. Especially during rain time, we find that sometimes the cows just eat what is there because there's nothing that we can able to feed them. So even the fertilizer truck, I didn't even count them in here. So there is a lot. That 17 million is a very fraction in terms of what actually that are quantified in there. Okay, in Kiskamauk, similar to Noka, very good. The water is coming from the Kata Dam through gravity. I won't dwell much on it. That's almost the same story. But what is actually the root cause from 7 Stars is the decline of the irrigation infrastructure owned by the Department of Water and Sanitation. So, and then on top of that, that pipe is very old. I think it was put down 1977, 1978. It was it's an asbestos pipe. It can't hold the pressure anymore. So that's becoming a problem. And as a result, there were lots of water leak. In 2019, we had a drought where the dam ran out of water. And I can tell you 30% of that water go to because of the leak. If that was maintained and the water, then the 30% water wasted was going to be avoided and the dam wouldn't even run empty. So I'll show you that. And then, the business suffered a severe loss because of that. So currently, in terms of that, during the drought period, we destocked the farm. We were making about 2,000 cows. I think I slaughtered about 500, but just under 500, it was 458. Some cows take them to other farms, and that farm, it was definitely closed in principles because we just keep just little cows just to keep the business warm. Otherwise, we are scared that if we shut it down to reopen, it was going to be too expensive. So this typical what you can see. The top one on the right is the dam now is full, and the bottom one was 2019 when it was empty. The picture that you can see there, 2018, 2019, the cows in the same place that I took the picture. During the drought was brown like that, and that's actually how it's supposed to be, the green one they were actually eating. We were buying in the food. That's what was the biggest problem. And then when you talk about the water wastage, this is what I'm talking about. So one can think that if you can think it happens like that almost every time, and even in 1 hour, it goes like that even more than 2 weeks. The guy's not fixing water in time. And that's what I'm talking about, that if this infrastructure was maintained, this business wouldn't suffer the loss that is suffered right now. On top of that, this water, we pay for it, water and sanitation. The scheme, I'm just trying to, it's going to finish here. This water is not for free. Even this water that gets wasted like that, we still pay for it. And then we've been engaging with Department of Water and Sanitation nationally as well, because what's actually happening, the system of the tariffs, the way they charge, is actually disadvantage all the irrigation schemes that are within the province here. Because of what? Because remember, this was advertised from the government, and then there's any subsidy on that. So on the scheme, current moment, the tariffs we're paying about 32 cents, whereas somebody who's in a water board in Kamtus paying about 8 cents. The water allocation we have is 6,100 per hectare. They have got about 13,500. per hectare. And when it's not raining, it's so quick to run out of water, whereas those guys, they can't run out of water. We all need 10,000 cubic meter of water. That's the challenge that we have. And then at the end of the day, it is like we are working for Department of Water and Sanitation on top of the service that we're getting. Okay, then when it comes to 7 Stars, I would say that the challenge there definitely with a grave impact on the business. Like I said, it is definitely shut down in principle because now we used to produce 10 million liters a year. The cheese factory is now shut down. Currently now we are doing just about under 4 million. And that's the biggest challenge. And then now there's a lot of income to the loss in the beneficiary. And there are staff that were retrenched. We used to about 58. We retrenched about 32, but now we rehire the people. We are sitting about 32 now, not necessarily back to the business. Yeah, but it's difficult for me to quantify the monetary value in terms of the 7 Stars because I think it's a lot. To me, it can worth about a billion. But this 80 million, I work it out based on the number of the cows. If you had a farm, you want to start now, I would say that you're going to be probably you're looking about 80,000 rand per cow. So since we're making 2,000 cows, now we only make 1,000. I just work it about 1,000 times by 80,000, just where I come to the 80 million. So yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, rain. I always pray for rain every day. And when town people complain about the rain, I don't join them because I know how it feels like being on the farmer and you don't have the rain. And I just got this quote here just to cherish because there's the more sad story when I say determined people working together can do anything but the Jim Casey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mabungo. I'm sure you can see the very shocked and sad faces of the panelists in response to your presentation. I will now hand over to Dr. Kata to start us off, and thereafter Dr. Fobosi to come in with his questions and reflections. Dr. Kata?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mavungu. I think I'm... Let's zone into the roads issue.
Yes.
Specifically on that, and we've noted now that there has been a decline in the output of all of these facilities, which would lead to a decline in employment, business development. It is quite manyfold when we look at the effects. What do you think effect has the inaccessibility to the road? You've made mention that there's about 500 trucks accessing conservatively. I mean, it would be 1,000 times if we look at the to and fro. What would you say has the lack of road infrastructure, the effect that has had on what you've seen in terms of the declining performance? That's number one. What have you had as a business owner or a private owner of facilities such as your grader? What have you had to put out of pocket in order for your business to continue? When it comes to, like you've provided us with a footage there where you've assisted pulling a truck out and you had to, you say 20,000 rand for 1 hour out of your own pocket. So those two questions maybe first, and then...
This access road, today, like I said, in Ngoka, I'm talking about the 10 villages. So when I think about it, don't think about the only dairy. There's a lot of communities. And that road, you can drive it up to Kala on the other side. So there's a lot. So in terms of on the farm side, the loss is huge. As much as I quantify on about 17 million, it is a lot more. Besides that, something that I didn't present, but I did indicate it. The potential land there to be developed is about 2,800 hectares. and now we're only utilizing 687. This last month, I had a guy who came to survey. There's another potential dairy for 2 dairies, which is actually each one, dairy 3 is the same size with the one that we're having, and the dairy 4, actually, we can actually double, instead of, we can make about 4,000 cows in there. That also become a challenge, because who the investor that can bring in there to come to invest under this situation. And in terms of the money that we spend on the farm, that you saw that we're pulling, they are in a distance like about 15 kilometers away from the farm, with the staff that are supposed to be working on the farm. They are actually stopped work. They're actually pulling the trucks. So now you can see the impact now. We are paying our staff not necessarily doing the job to look after the trucks, which is a very, 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 very challenging. And then in terms of what's the last one about the cost and the municipality engagement? People, they will know. We tried. We did engage the municipality. Even before, they were promised that that road will be done. I think even before I arrived there, if you go to the check on the system, I think it's about probably almost 10 years back that has been promising that road will be done. We even go to the media, which is the road that I wouldn't want it to do. If you go on the Daily Dispatch, I wrote the report. You go to the Metro FM, you go to SAFM. I've got one of my manager, Mandla. He was there representing us because I felt like, hey, Mandla, you've got a very nice voice. You can talk better than me. I felt like he was going to be the best person. That's what they've done. The municipality in Sikayetu, even the manager came to the farm to visit. They've done the presentation to them. And then from then, the premier, Oscar Mawian, he came to the farm. And then that time, the road looks better. It was even worse because you couldn't even drive more than 20, 30 kilometers per on a car. Then the week that he was coming, it was a surprise. They were magic. The grader, they were there grading and fixing all those points. And after he left, he did indicate, said that he will make sure that he will look at, make a follow-up that the road is done. But, you know, yes, maybe it was a high expectation to my side, and I was said that's going to happen like now. But the local people just said, no, it's been a long time. They mentioned that the road will be done, but there's actually nothing done. But honestly, like I said, I'm trying to explain, but it's not, I think the words is not sufficient to explain the situation which is happening on the farm.
Thank you. That's very valuable. Thank you so much. Just a last follow-up question from my side. So you're saying that the growth potential is there?
Huge one. And then if I can just explain again, what I saw, and that's what we also presented to even to Oscar and the rest, there's an ecosystem there where besides the milking, this cow that we're talking about, there's another about 1,000 hectares for the grain maize. There's a facilities there for the grain, to handle the grain, where the local, they've even done that before. But this is the issue that actually if that's not happening, then they can plant that maize, and all that maize will be utilized there on the farm. You've got an area like a Kamata and be larger in terms of the grain growing lucerne, which is coming into the farm. So basically that area, it is another business by itself. There's a model for saying that by milking so many cows, if we go to 4,000 cows, even more, why taking all that milk to the market? Why not making a factory within Noka? The plan is there, and then it just needs to happen. So he can able to change the whole area into more like I would say that it's more like a gold mine within Eastern Cape, which is not utilized.
So okay, that's what I wanted to check with you. So you've mentioned previously that it would be difficult to attract investment for this gold mine if the infrastructure is not there. Is that correct?
That's 100%.
and that you are ripe and ready to receive this investment, but you can't make the roads happen and the connections and the bulk infrastructure happen.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Dr. Carter. Dr. Fobosi.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Mavungu,
Yes, sir.
thank you. It's good to have you, sir. And thank you for presenting your evidence. It's very much appreciated. Just short questions. I'll be brief. And I must thank you for telling us about the challenges that you face, especially in farming, which is important in the economy of the country. And if you can just please share with the Commission, I'm not sure how long you've been in the area, the number of years that this has gone on, so that we know that this has been the case for this number of years. Is it over 10 years or 15 years? How long has it been the case?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. As for 7 Stars, I recall 2016 when they were talking about to replace the pipe. And then when I said 2016, I'm referring to the budget of 4 million, which was made in public, even was also advertised on one of the publications in the media, that there's a 4 million that's going to be used to revamp or to replace the main line for 7 Stars. There is a consultation that took place where the consultant come to engage with the farmers in 7 Stars to know what's going to happen till today. So remember 2016, when that happened, simply means there were a lot of meetings behind the closed door, which is, so you can tell, to get to answer direct is more than 10 years. Ngoka started there to operate about 2012. That road, I mean, it was there since then. And then the promise has been there for them that the road will be done. So even that, the answer is the same. It's more than 10 years.
Okay. Thank you. That has been a long time. And you made reference to having staff members working there in both Ngoga and 7 Stars. If we can just share as in how many people are employed in each, and how this condition has affected the employment in the area. Can you please just share with us?
Thank you very much. For Ngoga, we currently have got about it's exactly 67 and a staff member. Also, I've got 67 staff, including the management team, all combined. And like I said, right now, we are getting opportunity to develop another 2 dairies. And those 2 dairies, that number that is talking about, you can go and Ngoga only to go closer to 300 staff members to come in there. And I'm talking about the direct staff. I'm not talking about the indirect staff in terms of, I mean, the more we have that, more operations, the more trucks will come to fetch the milk. The more trucks will come to deliver the maize and the products. And that is another indirect employment that I'm not even quantifying. On 7 Stars, we used to about a 58 staff member. Today, as of yesterday, we have about 38 staff members on the farm. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And again, for 7 Stars, if we're producing 10 million liters, we used to have at least 2 trucks coming in there. So only about 1 truck coming maybe every second day. So, and then even the staff member that I'm referring to, I'm not talking about the staff hired by the SMME guys that are buying the milk to go to sell back to the public. So they currently, just on the direct and indirect, I think the business is doing very well, and the opportunity to make more it is there.
Thank you. I think what I was trying to get to is, given that some of the trucks that you've mentioned that are not able to deliver or even to come to the farms to collect milk, I would imagine that affects productivity. Does that not affect employment?
It definitely affects productivity, a lot on that. And then the biggest challenge that I'm worried about, at the rate that we are producing, besides the employment, the business become not self-sustained. Then you'll go to trying to get, like now I'm here. What I'm doing here, I supposed to be in the farm working. So that's another cost of wastage which is elevated on the farm, more than what you're referring to. So those are the issues that's, I don't want to get emotion. That's why I'm trying to hold myself. That's in terms of what is actually happening on the farm. So there's a lot more that can be done. And what I'm more worried, this challenge takes time away from farming. We want to be farming. You want to focus on the staff, get them more skilled, more efficiency, well-trained, and do better. And then by doing that, more I'm worried about, the better the staff they have, the more you remunerate them. So because I think there's also potential for limiting the staff to grow. And then we are more passionate in terms of the training the people. And like I said, all the management team that are there running all these farms, I involve a lot on them. I was their mentor. And even now on the staff level, can't have that time now to go on the staff level to do that because we have a lot of challenges that we are actually happening. And that's more stuff that I'm more worried about because I want to see more growth happening within the business. And even not necessarily the business, but the staff as well.
Thank you, sir. Two things. There's access to schools and healthcare that we spoke to. That this condition affects, the poor access to schools for learners and also to healthcare for the people there. What happens if then the road is bad continuously, it rains continuously? Just share with us on a day or in a week, if it happens continuously, what happens to the learners that needs to go to school? Do they stay at home? What happens? And also, in an instance where someone is very sick and they need immediate medical care, what happens?